Tonight is the start of something new. It's first week back from term. Who's excited? First week back at youth. It's going to be amazing. There are big plans, big things coming ahead this week, but this term. But this week is the start of a new series. So this week we're going to have a 4-part series, and we're going to do Introducing God. So Introducing God, we're going to introduce you to this character of God. Introducing God is a program that we run in the church, and the beautiful thing about it is that we reel it all the way back to the basics. So we don't try and cover it in all this fancy theology or like massive words with like 500 syllables, but we bring it right back to the core about what we believe. So who's excited for that? I'm excited for that. Awesome. So, tonight it is my role to speak to you guys about 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to talk to you about God. Number 2, about us. And number 3, the meaning of life. So we got a PowerPoint happening. If we don't, that's all good. Who cares? Get us away from technology, eh? I say while holding a wireless microphone in my hand. Awesome. So, I'm going to talk to you about God, us, and the meaning of life. And I think often as Christians we overcomplicate things, so I'm going to give you the simple meaning of life. Do you reckon the meaning of life is simple? Do you reckon it makes sense? No. Well, I'm here to tell you that the meaning of life isn't actually as massive and confusing and messed up as we make it out to be. So let's follow some logic. If we're trying to work out what the meaning of life is, then the meaning of life would be the thing that gives our life meaning. 10 rubber chickens to you guys. That's awesome. So, if we're trying to find the thing that gives our life meaning, what is the logical thing to do? The logical thing is to go all the way back to the beginning, to the start. Awesome. So what we're going to do, we're going to open up this 66 book love letter that God has given us, and we're going to turn right to Genesis 1:1. So that is the first book of the Bible, the first verse of the first chapter of the first book of the Bible. Alright, so right back to the start, and we're going to try and work out what this meaning of life is. But guys, this isn't like school, alright? So at school, the idea is like you give your wholehearted attention to the teacher, okay? But this time, I do not want you to give your attention to me, alright? I'm going to read a fair bit of this first part of the book. It's crazy interesting stuff. It's not boring stuff at all. But I'm going to read a fair bit. But what I want you to do, I would love it if we made the most of the fact that we were out in God's creation. I reckon it'd be sweet if while I read about the start of things, the beginning, and while we try and unravel the meaning of life, I think it'd be sweet if we just checked out God's creation, eh? So now's the time. It's story time, alright? Back in preschool. Story time. I'm going to tell you a story.
Hey, story!
Wow, you are way too excited for this story. Never too excited, that's it. It is an exciting story. So I'm going to start. And I would love it if you maybe close your eyes if that works for you. I don't want no one sleeping, alright? Boom! I'll wake you up. Alright? So, no one asleep.
We have the sleep police.
And we are going to look at in the beginning. Let's do that, team. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and He separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called light. And there was evening, and there was morning. The first day. How's story time going? We keeping up? How good is it, man? We're going to have nap time? No, not really. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. I've already read that. Here we go. God said, "Let there be an expanse between the waters to separate the water from water." So God made the expanse and separated the water under the expanse from the water above it, and it was so. God called the expanse sky, and there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let the dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and He gathered the waters and called them seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit and seed in it, according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seeds according to their kinds, and the trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. There was evening, and there was morning, the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark seasons and days and years. Let them be lights in the expanse of the sky to give light onto the earth. And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light in the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. Check out that lesser light, eh? He also made the stars. God set them in the expanse of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning. What day are we up to? Fourth. Pull yourself together, man. Listen up. Alright. And God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. So God created great creatures of the sea, and every living thing that moves along the land, and that the water teems with, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw it, and he said it was good. Awesome. Man, you guys are so good at story time. Far out, guys. I think if you guys have been in Christian circles, been around churches for a little while, that is a story that we've sort of heard a lot. But I think sometimes we miss how incredible and how amazing that story is. This God, he isn't an artist in the sense that he doesn't need paper and a pen. All he has to do is say it, and it happens. This God said, let there be a moon, and the moon appeared. This God breathed out the sun. He didn't have to sit down and design it and work on it for a long time. God just thought it. God said it, and it happened. How great is our God? How awesome is God? This God breathes out universes. So there's stars, right? Can we see any? Oh, there's a couple. Come on. Eat your carrots. There's a couple.
There's a big one out there.
Oh,
it's great.
Why is it moving?
Take that boy back to school.
Who knows what those stars are? Who's seen Timon and Pumbaa? What are they?
Fireflies.
Fireflies. No.
Fireflies.
What are they?
Balls of gas in the sky.
Man, that's awesome. God breathes out these things. These aren't little dots that God uses paintbrush and touch the sky with. God breathed out everything that we can see. He didn't have to sit down and design it. He just said it and it happened. How great is our God? Does anyone here think that they could do that? Say something and make it appear. Anyone?
That's about it.
Man, the only thing you can make is carbon dioxide. Sorry, bro. I love you, Simon. But this thing is big. This isn't some conjurer of cheap tricks. Lord of the Rings quote. This isn't some cheap magician. This isn't some pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Our God is great. Our God is powerful, and our God is almighty. So I promised you a couple things. I promised you I'd talk about God. So we talked about God, went back to the beginning. Let's talk about us. Story time again. This time, yeah, you can lie back down if you wish. This time, I want you guys to look at your hands. Alright? Check out your hands while I talk about this. Here we go. Then God said, let us make man in our image. That's man and woman. In our image and our likeness. And let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock and over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them both. And God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and every living creature that moves on the ground." And God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant." He said this to the man and woman. He said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And all the beasts of the earth and the birds of the air and all the creatures that move on the ground. Everything that has breath of life in it. I give you every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw that he made everything, and he said it was very good. There was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. How great is our God, eh? But you see, God makes sense. Okay? God makes sense in that there are two theories that we can follow when we talk about the beginning, when we talk about our Genesis, our very start. That is evolution and God. Alright? So what is evolution? Does anyone have a definition of evolution?
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Yes, your definition is wrong. No. No, alright, here we go. Evolution, alright? Here we go. I got this off Google. I stole the whole thing. Here we go. Evolution is the belief that nothing happened to nothing, and then nothing happened to nothing, and then magically exploded into nothing for no reason, created everything, and a bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason, so that into self-replicating bits which turned into dinosaurs. Right? So nothing hit nothing, which turned into nothing, which turned into everything, which exploded into bits that can make more everything, which made dinosaurs.
Nice one, Brad.
That sounds like a valid theory. We can believe that, can't we? I want to tell you, people think that God is way past our understanding, and that is so true, but he also makes sense. You could believe this theory about nothing happening to nothing, and the full thing. You could believe this theory, or you could believe these words. Genesis 1:1. I'm going to give you 4 words that explain everything. I want to give you 4 words that could even be the meaning of life. The beginning, God. In the beginning, God.
Beginning isn't 2.
For this man, 5 syllables. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God. You see what? God makes sense. It makes sense that there is something that happened before creation. There was something to create. What doesn't make sense is nothing came from nothing. Okay? God makes sense, but he is so far beyond our understanding. If you want to know the meaning of life, you might have looked in a lot of different places for it. But I want to tell you that the meaning of life is in the beginning, God. I want to tell you that I am nothing. I have no meaning and no purpose if not for God. If you want to find your meaning of life, there is only one place to look. Let's look to the Bible. Let's look to Jesus. You know what I don't understand? God makes sense, but you know what I don't understand? The fact that the God who said the word and that thing appeared. The fact that the God who said the word and everything that we can see here appeared. The fact that that God who spat out the universes, he didn't even have to design it, he just said the word and all creation was made. You know what I don't understand? I don't understand how that God could possibly care enough for me, could possibly care enough for you. How could that God care enough for us to make us in his own image? Check out your hand. Check out how detailed that is. How complicated that is. Do you know that the thing that artists are most afraid of is the hands? Because we can't get them right. I mean, some really talented people can, but artists are fine. You see lots of faces. I mean, even the Mona Lisa, she's like covering her hands. Artists are afraid of the hands because they're so complicated and so difficult to get right, and yet God created us in his own image. You know, he took the same amount of time to design us as he did to design the entire universes. God spent a day giving you meaning. God spent a day designing a purpose for your life. How great is our God, guys?
He's great.
How great is our God? How could He care so much as to make us in His own image? Guys, we have hope in a powerful God. You see, ideally the meaning of life, it says it here, was for us, what was it? We're meant to look after plants, look after animals, and go out into the world and multiply, right? That was our meaning of life originally. Ideally, when we were hand in hand in the Garden of Eden, way back at the start, when we were hand in hand with God, that was our meaning of life. But guess what happened? What'd we do?
Sin.
We screwed up, didn't we? Guys, I've talked to you about what our meaning is. I've talked to you about God is the person who gives us meaning. We can't find it anywhere else. Our meaning in life is God. That's what we've talked about this week. Next week, and in the coming weeks over Introducing God, we're going to talk about how we've turned our back on God. We faced away from Him and headed in our own direction. But we're also going to hear about a rescue plan. That God cared for us enough not to leave us running away from Him, but to send a rescue plan in the form of His Son Jesus. That's a snapshot. That's a to be continued, alright? This is coming next week. Be ready for it. It's going to be amazing. But I'd like to invite the worship team back up. My simple goal for this night is that God's name could be glorified and we could maybe get a little bit more of a glimpse of His power and His might.